map, baby, tell me where you at. In the jungle, who they bringing it back to the jungle. Every game day, yeah, the jungle's back. Got the natty pack in the orange and black.
Welcome, everybody, to the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show on the Gooley True Sports Network. We are at Week 9, coming off a Bengals win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 37-34. I'm your co-host for the Bengals Weekly Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my co-host, number 58 from the Super Bowl 23 Bengals. I wish I could say champions, but hell, at least they won a playoff game. Joe Kelly, How you doing, Joe?
Hey, Mike, it was doing pretty good, man. But you're talking about probably one of the ugliest wins I've ever witnessed. But at the end of the day, Mike, you take an ugly win than a very pretty loss. But I tell you, one thing that you don't see on TV is they don't show you everything, and being at the game, you're able to see a whole lot more than what the TV actually shows. But Mike, it was ugly. We got to win. Our offense scored a lot of points, but when I tell you that had Fitzpatrick come in the second quarter, we would have got beat by two touchdowns.
Yeah, which is scary when Drew Brees is coming to town next.
Oh, I was trying not to think of that, Mike, until later on in the show.
Okay, we'll wait until next week and think about Drew Brees.
Yeah. Oh my God. But it was, Mike, it was pretty ugly. Offensively, there were some bright spots, but there was still, our right tackle play with Hart. I think it is getting pretty bad, on that side of the ball.
All right, real quick, Joe, I want to bring this up because this blew my mind, and you just brought it up, so this will be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals.com by the immortal Jeff Hobson,
Mm-hmm.
they call the line one of the better offensive lines in the NFL through 8 weeks, and the right side with guard Alex Redmond and tackle Bobby Hart, who had to earn spots in training camp, continue to be a pleasant surprise.
Well, a pleasant surprise to who?
I
know Jeff well. A pleasant surprise to who? I would say when Andy is getting rushed and when Joe Mixon is touching the ball and getting hit immediately upon touching the ball, usually it is gone through Hart. Throughout the season, any bad play, any sacks, any pocket collapsing around Andy, any run that tackle for loss has usually gone through Hart. And I'm not going to say he's been involved in everyone, but he's 90% of the offensive problems where they are because of Hart.
And
period.
On the other point is this: it's still the play calling still boggles my mind. Joe Mixon in the first half, Bengals go up 27-9. He had like 14 carries for 114 yards. And then they come out in the second half, and he runs the ball another 7 times, and that's it. I mean, when you're up 27-9, Joe, don't you put the game away by just pounding the ball, especially when Mixon may be our most productive offensive player?
And then plus, when you look on the other side of the ball, and your defense is playing horrendous. So, like you said, I don't, you get to a point in sports. You look at the most pivotal call in Super Bowl history. Pete Carroll. He's going to throw the ball, and he has the most dominant run it back in football. See, you outsmarted yourself. The thing is here, you got a lot of coaches that get to that point, and they want to be smarter than they actually are. They want to. They're waiting for the headline for themselves to say, "Oh yeah, Pete Carroll, you made one of the greatest calls. Everybody thought he was going to run. It's first and goal on the 1. I'm going to tell you, Mike, I'm running at you 4 times in a row. Stop me. I'm going to do it. The thing they get to a point, Mike, where you're trying to, over smart and they think that we're going to run the ball and no, we're going to fool them and we're going to pass. Who are you fooling? Run the damn ball, control the clock, because your defense, week 8, Mike, the defense has not gotten a grasp of whatever Terrell Austin is trying to do.
Yeah, but by watching the defense, I don't get a grasp that Terrell Austin knows what Terrell Austin wants to do.
I don't know. I don't know. You know, I'm looking at it, and this is this Fritz Shermer modified version of Monty Kiffin's Tampa 2 coverage. Because I'm looking at it here. Mike, it's 3rd and 4, and they're spreading you out. They got trips. You got a cornerback out there. You got a linebacker in the slot, and you got a safety that you're lining up at 25 yards deep. It's 3rd and 4, Mike, and he's covering the inside guy. Okay, just say you're going to give him a first down. Why even let him snap the ball? Just give him a first down. And then you're playing cover 2. You come up, you're trying to fool him, and you get beat deep twice. The guy's just turning around. Dude, you have deep half. How can a deep half if a guy 20 yards behind you? They have been so out of place by alignment. Linebackers, safeties, corners. The corners are looking at the safeties, and when I say I am noticing this the entire game, Mike, the entire game. It's a 4th quarter, and they're coming out, Mike, they've been coming out in trips all game. They haven't, you could have, I think the defensive side of the ball, they had a heart attack when number 11 lined up in the backfield. They didn't know what to do. It's still a wide receiver. You're still playing the same coverage. These are things that you had to have practice during the week.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me the most here, Joe, is this. It has to be the defensive coordinator, because when you look at the defense, I don't think that the talent is overwhelming, but there is talent there. Jesse Bates has played really well this year. I think William Jackson's a good player. Hell, I don't think Dre Kirkpatrick's as bad as he looks. I think the defense makes him look this bad. I don't see where they put any pressure. I mean, you very rarely see him come after somebody. You remember the old Mike Zimmer double-A gap blitz? You don't see anything like that anymore. And they just look lost out there. And like I said, I think this team has enough talent to be at least a solid defense. But coaching-wise, I really don't know what he's trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, and Mike, that's the problem. Nowhere down the line. When we look at player position by position, player by player, we have just as much talent as the top echelon of the NFL. Are we the best defensive line? No. Are we, in my opinion, top 6, 7 D-line? Hell yeah. No doubt. Do we have, 2 guys when you're talking about, 97 and 96? Both of those guys are in the top, 8, 9, if not they're in the top 10 of their position, if not higher. I'm just in top 10. I think they're higher than that. But when you look at it, when I'm saying I'm looking at Mike, they are by alignment, by whatever you call it. The guy, Fitzpatrick is at the line of scrimmage calling audible. You got half the defense still looking at the sideline. They're turning around looking at each other like, do you got flat? Do I got flat? Do I got deep? You got hook? You got curl? Who's rushing? I got Michael Johnson turning around. He's going through his cadence. I got him turning around, standing up, turning around, looking for the linebacker, talking to the safety. This is a defensive end. Mike, I'm literally in the stands losing my mind.
Yeah, and this is week 8. It's not like it's opening weekend.
Yes, I'm saying that's what I'm saying here. Talent-wise, no, I definitely think talent-wise we're talented enough to compete.
Yeah,
when you're looking at here,
pack. And when you've got a defense with Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, I think Preston Brown's a good player, William Jackson, Jesse Bates, what you got to do is you got to put them in a situation to be successful. And right now it looks to me like the offense dictates to the Bengals what they're going to do instead of the defense. See, to me, if I'm coaching a defense, I want to come out, and every team has a favorite player, too, they like to run. You take those couple plays away, and in that way you could dictate to the offense what they can do. To me, it looks like it's the opposite way around, where the offense is lining up, and the offense is moving our pieces on defense where they want them, and then beating us.
I'm looking at it, Mike, and I'm saying here, you go over every possible scenario. Every 1st and 10, you have their tendencies. There are no secrets in football. You know, you might have that one play that was running in the Super Bowl where the throwback to the quarterback. You might have that. But every other play, you know it. You've seen it on film. You practice. Every 1st and 10 play they have, you have that in your playbook. Every 2nd and short, you have it. Every 2nd and medium, you have it. Every 2nd and long, you have it. You have 3rd and short, 3rd and long, 3rd and medium. You have 4th and short. Every single scenario you go over throughout the week. It's in your game plan. So if they come out in trips, if they come out in doubles, if they come out with 2 backs, if they come out with 2 tight ends, you have covered. When I say these guys are still week 8, it has to be they haven't grasped, because there is way too much turning around, looking at the sideline to be totally comfortable with the whatever he's trying to do with the defense. And Mike, you don't have 2 touchdowns, two long bombs on the touchdown with nobody within 15 yards. That doesn't happen unless it's blown assignments.
Or unless
and
it's
that's
1993
something
in Cincinnati. I mean, this defensively looks like the 90s Bengals. The only thing that's saving this team's ass right now is to Joe Mixon's, to Tyler Boyd, who's had maybe a better season than A.J. Green, and Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, once again, played really well. And then I still see all of these people on here. Well, we need Jeff Driscoll. Driscoll should be playing. Not Dalton's the problem. And I mean, it's just ignorant, because Andy Dalton was 21 for 34, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They score 37 points, but yet Bengals fans still want to bitch about Andy Dalton. When in the end, the thing to bitch about is the front office and the coaching staff. So, player-wise, there's enough players here. This team should win this division.
No doubt. We have the players. You know, there doesn't have to be a mid-season trade. You know, we're not just totally, and that's that one position that is going to kill us. You know, everybody is talented enough. But when you look at, you know, where your deficiencies are, then you make up for the deficiencies by, you know, the kind of calls and the positions that you're putting in. You know, if you're going against, you know, a receiver like Mike Evans, you know, or Deshaun Jackson, you know, you place each corner in the best situation possible. You know, hey, Deshaun comes in, he's going to usually be the guy that's running the 9 routes. Okay, here, when he comes in, okay, here, William, we're going to have you run with it. You know, whatever it is. You know, if you think both of them can cover him, you know, hey, you guys stay on one side, I stay on the other, and I'm comfortable with you covering either one of those receivers. You know, but like I said, at the end of the day, these guys are getting beat by the call because they're blowing assignments, they're blowing gap assignments, they're blowing coverage assignments. It's all that. It's not where you're really physically getting beat.
Don't forget, they can't tackle either.
Well, yeah, and I talked about that Sunday right before the game. I did a little radio show with Box. You know, you still understand the concept of defense. Everybody gets to the ball, right, Mike? That's one of the first things you teach in defensive philosophy. Yep. Wherever the ball is, I want 11 hats over there. You know, so missed tackles happen, Mike, and that's football.
Yeah, but if you swarm, they happen less. If you're swarming to the ball, guess what? Why I go attempt to tackle him and I get a leg and he's breaking my tackle, you're going to get hit by 1, 2, 3 guys. At least 4 or 5 guys around the ball. And if you're – I don't see that. I do not see guys running to the ball. No, because what you'll see is if they run a sweep one way, you'll watch the backside guys. They either fly upfield too fast and leave their gap responsibility, but once the play is away from them, they just kind of jog and watch.
Yeah, you're inverting the line of scrimmage. So if you got to run a play right to you, and your defensive – I'm a linebacker. My defensive – end or my defensive tackle is shooting upfield. So guess what? You have inverted the line of scrimmage. So you're shooting upfield. So now the distance between me and you, I'm already 3 yards behind you by a line. So when the ball snaps and you take off upfield, now you're upfield an additional 2-3 yards. So now the gap is 6 yards. So now, if you stayed on that line of scrimmage and you played that run, now they don't have the distance between you and I. It's maybe one yard. Now with the width, now when that offensive guard is pulling, coming around, or that tackle is coming around. Now with you inverting the line of scrimmage as a defensive lineman, these guys have ways to go. The running back has distance to choose which got to go through. So if you don't invert the line of scrimmage, then that space is decreased. Now this guy has to sliver through a little small, gap, maybe a half yard. But if I'm staying in my assigned gap, and if everybody's standing there in the right gap control, hey, everybody's going to get to the ball. Here, he's going to run through here. I'm going to delay him. You're going to get the backside guys coming. But like you said, you don't see the back guys coming. There might be one guy from the backside that's coming, and everybody else is just kind of looking.
Yeah.
I don't, Mike, maybe you and I we're just that antiquated. We just don't know it because this is different football, right? Because I don't know as a defensive coordinator. I'm defensive coordinator tomorrow for the Cincinnati Bengals. I guarantee you this. There's not going to be a guy on my defense that doesn't run his ass to the ball. I don't care who. I don't care if Mike is paying you $100 million. Give me a defensive end that's going to run to the ball. Give me a defensive tackle that's going to run to the ball.
Yeah, and the thing is this: the way you coach defensive football is to beat that into their heads. I mean, if you run a play in practice and when the whistle blows, you still got like 8 guys 15 yards from the ball and they weren't running, you do something about it. I'm betting that nothing's done here because in the end, football games are won by one thing, and that's by brute freaking force. Because I've seen very few games where the team that outsit the other team and they lose the game. And what I see here is I see a soft-ass defense. I see a soft-ass offensive line. I mean, luckily, that's also like 80% of the other teams in the NFL. But, I mean, what I see is I just don't see the brute force get in somebody's face, bust them in the head. Not the head. That's a bad form. I got fined right there by the NFL. Yeah. But, just do your job. Fill in the gap. Yeah. It's like if you're the defensive end and you don't go more than 2 or 3 yards up that field unless that guy's coming, you stay on the outside shoulder to running back or quarterback coming that way. If you turn him in, you don't even have to make the tackle to be a success because you've got an outside backer, you got a defensive tackle, you got a safety that are all flowing to the ball, and once you make them cut inside, you got 3 or 4 guys to help you. With the Bengals, you either run up too far, you get kicked out, they run around you, and it's the defensive tackle and allows the outside linebacker can't get there.
Yeah, this is basic football. I'm a defensive end. Offensive tackle blocks down. So guarantee you, if he blocks down, I guarantee you, dude, it's not a drop back pass. I can guarantee you that. So 99% of the plays when he's blocking down, it's going to be a run. And guess what you're taught to do? Hands on him, and guess who's coming? That guard or that backside fullback or the backside tackle. So
if somebody's leaving, somebody's coming.
Somebody's coming. So, you're taught to block down, let me squeeze. Now my eyes are going straight to the guy coming around or a fullback or somebody trying to cut. I'm looking straight in. I'm not going upfield. So when you got a offensive tackle blocking down, and your defensive end goes straight upfield, now guess what? Now you got the middle linebacker. He's about to get an air hold because you didn't keep your hands on the tackle. Now, not only that, he's going to get cut off. Now you got the backside guard, backside tackle, or the fullback, or the H-back as you have it now. Now you got 2 guys coming, and guess who's out there? A cornerback. Kirkpatrick is out there. So what is he going to do? He's going to fall down, close his eyes, and try to cut the guy. And
roll up into the fetal position and hope they fall over top of him.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at bad football, man. It's just lack of discipline, and discipline is here on runs. Reading your basic run. I'm a middle linebacker in the guard, block down on the nose guard. I may take a step with him, but guess what? I'm looking at this tackle either coming to me or a guard pulling around. These are basic reads. And I'm saying I don't see any defensive where the responsibilities, lie. What is your, what is he teaching you? I know you can't hit a guy in the head in the open field, but when you look at in the trenches, the football is still the same. These guys are still hitting the same way. Fullback comes in on a lead, on a draw. He's coming in there with his head in there, So inside the interior, the game hasn't changed. The game has changed on the outside. So when you're on the outside, that's when you got to, be caution, have caution and not hit a guy up top in the head, defensive, so on and so forth. But when you're talking about 907, you guys are running inside, or even if you're running counter plays or sweeps, it's still football. And we are just not playing defensively. I don't think we're playing sound defense. And I know for a fact there had to be, so many minuses on blown assignments, blown coverages. So I don't know. I can't say here's a guy who is normally, been in the league 5-6 years and has been pretty sound. And now this guy is blowing 5-6 different assignments per game. So, that has to go back to whatever they're trying to teach. They're not getting hold of it, Mike.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you look at the linebacker play and how bad it is, it's really mind-blowing that it can be when you got defensive tackles like Geno Atkins, because you know yourself, if you got a couple good defensive tackles up front, it makes the job a lot easier on a linebacker, but that doesn't seem to happen here. I mean, you guys with the 88 Bengals, you had guys like Crumrice, Scow, Buck, all guys that did their job. They keep them off of it. It's just like, I don't care how many tackles my defensive tackle makes. I care if he makes it easier and he keeps that lead blocker. He keeps that offensive guard or that offensive tackle off my linebacker.
Yeah, it comes down here when you sit up here and they're running a fake dive and they have a sweep. Why is their defensive end trying to make a play in an A gap? Why? Why?
And it's Michael Johnson almost all the time, and it has been for like 7 years.
But I'm looking at majority. I'm looking at 75. I'm looking at these guys are just not making good football decisions. But at the end of the day, Mike, it is hard. I've been in situations where I totally didn't understand what we were trying to do, and as a result, you're going out there, I'm thinking I got the hook and not the flats, or I'm thinking I got A gap and not B gap, and because, still the coach is really not sure. So you're changing, in midweek. Well, what if they run this? Well, if you read the fullback, it can't be like that. It has to be okay. It's a
and my point is this. That is all coaching, because I'm betting on those teams where that happened, you had lesser defensive coordinators. I'm betting it probably didn't happen too much with Dick LeBeau.
Oh, absolutely not. Knew where we were. Like I said, we very rarely, got beat because, physically you get beat sometimes. Guy makes a catch, guy makes a run, breaks a tackle, but we didn't get beat because we were out of position. We didn't understand. Here, there's guys you get beat because that's what it is. They're getting paid, just like we're getting paid. And physically you're going to get beat. And they're going to make a good catch. They're going to make a good run. Here's going to make a good block. But here, when you're getting beat, and those guys are scoring untouched, when a guy gets a run and it's a 75-yard run and he runs untouched, those all blown assignments. It's across the board. It's blown assignments. You have, they're going to make plays. You're going to make plays. But right now, Mike, we need to do some serious soul searching. But I don't know if you need to simplify. A lot of times it's just simplifying what you're trying to do. Stop trying to out-dupe of the other offensive coordinator. Get out here. Let's play some sound defense. Let's play making some sound coverages. Put your guys in the right place. Stop having your linebackers lining up on the second slot wide receiver, and the tight end is the third guy in, and you got the safety on him. Let's by alignment. Let's keep it simple, stupid. You know, that's what we usually call it. Keep it simple, stupid. You know, don't make it too hard. You know, don't make it too complicated, because at the end of the day, when the ball hikes, you know, it's football. We got to get the man with the ball. You know, and if you're out there, I don't know, you got that person, I got that person. Now, if they come in, they're in a bunch, you know, here, they're going to be in a bunch, Mike. I'm going to take the outside guy, you take the inside guy, you take the guy that comes up the field. Simple. So, you know, it's just, you know, we have to get it together, especially when that guy named Mr. Breeze is coming into town next week.
And you bring that up, and then right after that, we go to Baltimore. So these next two games are huge. I think the Bengals would have to at least split these two games to have a shot. When you look at the rest of the schedule, you get the Saints here, which I wouldn't bet a whole lot of money on. We go to the Ravens, which I think we can handle them, because
I think we can handle them.
We kind of got their number the way the Steelers got ours. Then we got the Browns here, which I'm fine with. Broncos here, which we should win. But then you go to the Chargers. That's a rough one. But you host the Raiders, at the Browns, at the Steelers. So, I mean, this team needs to get it together fairly quickly. I mean, because you look at the Chargers, the Steelers, the Saints, and the Ravens, those are 4 games that, I mean, if they could get 2 of those 4, I think they'll win this division. And when you look at this division, I mean, this Steeler-Raven game coming up is absolutely gigantic for both of those teams, because both of those teams play schedules similar to the Bengals.
Yeah, and you know, it's going to be really huge for Baltimore, because if Baltimore loses, that's going to knock them 3 games back. You know, we go in, you know, I think I'm looking at the second half of the schedule. You know, I think to win the division, we're going to have to go 5-3 the second half. You know, 10-6, I think, because I do think that Baltimore is going to beat Pittsburgh. I think they play well against Pittsburgh, you know, and somehow they got their number, like you said, and just like Pittsburgh has ours. You know, I think we should be able to beat Cleveland twice. I think we should be able to beat the Raiders, and I think we should be able to beat Denver. So those are four victories right there. So out of the other four, let's just win 1. So let's either, you know, you got Cleveland twice, Oakland, and Denver. That's 4. So that puts us as 9. So now let's win one of those games. When you look at, you know, because it doesn't have to be, it's not rocket science. Look at one. So you got Pittsburgh, you got New Orleans, who else we got, Mike? San Diego, and one more. And you just say, okay,
and when you look at it, you go over and check the Ravens out. If they were to win this next game, they'd be 5-4. They host the Bengals. They play the Raiders, which should be a win. But then they play at Atlanta, which it's always dangerous in the Dome against Matt Ryan. They go at Kansas City. They host Tampa, which they should win. But then they go to the Chargers, and then they host the Browns. So I think, in the end, I think 9 wins can win this division. I mean, I'm not convinced any of these teams are that good.
Yeah, I think 10. I think going to be 10, because I don't. It's one of the teams are going to win 10 games.
Well, see, when you look at it, the Steelers, look at their schedule. Then they are at the Ravens. They host the Panthers, who are a good team. They go to Jacksonville, which who knows what kind of shape Jacksonville's in.
They're playing horrible though. So
they go to Denver. They host the Chargers. Yeah. They do play the Raiders, but then they finish with the Patriots at New Orleans and then hosting Cincinnati. So I still think 10 would definitely win this division. I think all it's going to take is 9, but take 10 so you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, and like I said, it may come down to that last game. In Pittsburgh. You know, the thing is for us to, we can go and take control and win. And like I said, we don't have to be perfect. I know for a fact we should sweep Cleveland. We should, beat Oakland, and we should beat Denver. You know, now you say here, just win one out of 4 of the other remaining games, and I think we can do that. But what's going to happen? The defense has to get it together. You know, offensively, I can't see anybody really complaining. About your defense. I think our offensive line, the right tackle play considerably could be considerably better. But when you're putting 30-something points on the board, That's not even that's not even part of your, when you put in your preseason goals. Your goal is not to score 37 points, not the NFL. Your goal is to score 21 points, 24 points. That's your goal. As a defense, my goal is to keep this team 17 and under. So when you're looking at, we're scoring 37 points and we're having to go to win the game in the last second, your defense is not playing too well. So and I think it's not something. The good thing about it, Mike, despite of all the negative things that we've said, the good thing about it is there have been years where we know, even in the right position, with the right calls, physically we weren't good enough, nor did we have the players to compete. We have the players. We are physical enough. We are talented enough to be able to compete with anybody. Now we got to get the scheme or whatever whatever we're trying to do. I haven't figured out, but I know one thing, Mike. I don't think as a defensive coordinator, your goal is to, when you say bend and break, I think giving up 600 yards, I think you broke. I don't think that's bending. You gave up 600 yards in back-to-back games. That's not a bend. That's a break.
Yeah, and I just have one question before we wrap this up. When you talked about defensive coordinators that you didn't know what was going on because they were bad coaches, I'm just going to throw this off the top of my head. Was that Pete Carroll?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I kind of thought it was. That would have been the Jets in 90,
Pete
1 and 2?
Pete Carroll of 1990. 1990, Pete Carroll's first job, defensive coordinator. Monty Kiffin and Foles Fazio was the linebackers. When I say he was the Bad News Bears, it was they didn't know what they were doing. We would go literally into games and still seeing who's going to have the D gap on this play. If they do this, and my thing is here, Monty Kiffin and Foles Fazio here. I'm playing middle linebacker, and middle linebacker, Mike, if you run a counter play. So you get a counter play. What happens on a counter play? The guard blocks down. The backside guard is going to pull around. The fullback is going to take that false step, and then he's going to come right behind the guard, pulling around.
Yeah.
So my thing is here, and when that guard blocks down, guess what that tackle on my side, the offensive tackle is coming to ear hold me. So if I don't read, if I step with that fullback and I go to the right, I'm going to either get ear hold or that big guy that's coming around going to turn up field, and just by human nature that this guy is 330 pounds, and I'm 230. By law of physics, he's going to win. But when you look at it, and they're telling me, Joe, you go step with the fullback. Why am I stepping in the fullback? Because your team, is trying to run the counter, and I'm in the backfield destroying the play.
Yeah.
But you're saying I'm going too quick. So it was some of the basic stuff and basic reads that they were doing. They turned in 1990. You turned a 2-time Pro Bowler, Eric McMillan, who was playing as good as any free safety in the NFL. You totally ruined that kid's career. Period. Bar none. We can one day do a show. I'll get Eric on the show, and we can do a show with him and say, here's a 2-time Pro Bowler, and it's in third year, and Pete Carroll just totally annihilated this kid's career, and it was unfortunate because they didn't know what they were doing, and it showed how inept he was as a head coach in New England, and then back to Jets, and then he went to SC and had success, and he came back to Seattle and had success. But if he was a player, he would never had a chance again because he was so bad initially. But that's a whole nother radio show.
Eric McMillan was a dude that, if I remember right, he was I think he was the defensive rookie of the year in '88. The guys guys went to the Super Bowl, and he was he was all pro, not just a Pro Bowler, all pro in '89. Yes. And by 1993, he's gone.
Yes. Yeah. And you know why? Pete Carroll. Totally, Pete wasn't a good coach, and I don't never thought highly of Pete. Still don't think. He has a Super Bowl champion, great, but I knew when you sucked, I knew you were when you were awful. I knew when you were totally confusing, everybody on the defense. There's some guys who prospered under, but I'm not saying that because I just didn't think he was a good coach. I didn't think Foles Fazio was a good linebacker coach. He's a quarterback
Now
guy.
here's my question. Eric McMillan, wasn't his dad Ernie McMillan, who played for the Cardinals for like 15 years?
But football, he had it in his blood.
Is his dad still alive?
You know what? I want to say he is. I know they, we communicate a lot on Facebook. But he's a very successful high school coach down in the Atlanta area. But it's when you look at coaches, and then here we have Austin here with the Bengals, and you are putting guys in positions. You look at, like I said, I don't think Kirkpatrick. I think Kirkpatrick has played better.
Yeah, I think he's better. I just think he's in situations that he shouldn't be in.
Yeah, but Mike, when you're putting a player by alignment in position, when the guys are running those touchdowns, and you look like that's not Kirkpatrick's job. That wasn't his responsibility.
Yeah, you're putting him in a position to fail. And as a coach, your job is to put your players in the best position to succeed. It's kind of like 1992 when the Bengals decide David Klingler's first start should probably be against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Kevin Greene and Greg Lloyd. I mean, you put him in a position to fail. So when he fails, you can't really be surprised.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate. You see that, that I can give you just a myriad of different players over the years who really have been ruined by one coach, and the guys who are, hey, this guy was the greatest. No, he wasn't. He was a system guy. He was great in that system because the system dictated that, he was going to be the guy to make the plays. I've seen, guys who are beneficial of systems. And then you have, the elite guys. You have the Lawrence Taylors, Reggie White.
Doesn't matter where you put them. You just put them on the field and they're going to dominate.
Yeah. But the level of talent is so close with, a 95%. I'm going to say 95% of us. You have five. I don't even think it's that high. You may have 2.5% that these guys would dominate anywhere, any team.
Yeah.
And then you have that next 7 to 10% guys who could be pretty successful in most systems. And then you got 80. I would say maybe 60% of guys who are pretty good in the systems, but not great in any. And then you have 20% guys. They're just good because of that system and that coach. So you have all that, man. I think right now, I can't really say who's really looking good in Austin's system because the D line is going to catch the most slack because they're not getting pressure. But I'm saying here, change up. You can't.
Yeah, but if you're using the same alignments 90% of the time, and you're basically, to me, he's lining them up and just hoping that Geno Atkins and them can get to him. And the other thing is this: where in the hell is Carl Lawson went?
Yeah. Well, Lawson, he blew his knee out. He's out.
Yeah, but I mean, before that, Carl Lawson, the first 5 or 6 games of the season, was nothing like he was last year. So my equation there is not about him being hurt. It's just the fact that he dropped off big time from year 1 to year 2 until he got hurt.
Mike, if you recall at the beginning of the season, I was saying that this guy was going to be a double-digit sack guy, And so when I'm looking at, him and how far he dropped off, his pressures, just flying around the ball, it was different. And, I'm telling you, because I've been there. When you're in a team where you're thinking more than you're actually playing, so I don't, it could be a lot of factors, but like I said, if you're just aligning guys up and you're going to say Geno and Carlos, I want you guys to beat the double team all day. And you other guys just try to make a play. Move them. Move them around, stunts. Get some movement. Get a linebacker in there. Get a safety up here. But when you got both your safeties at 25 yards at snap, who are you fooling? How can you put pressure? You know, the quarterback. You make it easy for the quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, Mike. There's I don't know if Marvin feels, you know, that there's a change. I mean, you look at, you know, I knew Hugh Jackson was on a short rope, and he had to win because he does have talent up there. But Mike, if I'm a head coach, Mike, and Mike, you're my defensive coordinator, and you've given up 600 yards back to back, we're last almost. Or if not last, second.
Yeah, and
last.
you got a bye week. Get rid of his ass.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're going to make some changes. You're going to try to show me something because I'm going to say the hell with whatever you're trying to do. I don't like that.
Why wouldn't Marvin just take it over?
I
mean, he made cut his teeth basically as a defensive coordinator. I mean, if you're Marvin, at some point, instead of rolling with Paul Gunther and Terrell Austin, don't you just want to just grab it and do it yourself? You know, if I'm going to get fired, at least make it my fault.
Yeah. You know, unfortunately, that's how it is, man. And
hey, but then again, the thing is this: you know, Marvin has to approve that defensive game plan.
Yeah. But you know, I think nowadays you look at it and you are giving him. He's saying, okay, here, you know, Detroit was the bend but don't break defense, and that's philosophy. So you bought into that philosophy, and understand, you know, Mike, he was able to pick. This was his guy. He picked. You know, so do you pick this guy because, you know, quote unquote, Mike Brown lets you pick your guy. Now you pick this guy, and it's not the play is not applying to the field.
Well,
you know,
and the thing is this: you can play bend but don't break, but if you do that, you got to have some big, strong, athletic defensive backs and linebackers. You let them catch the ball short, and you punish them. It's not happening here.
Yeah, no, nobody's around the ball. You know, if we have one guy and he misses the tackle, then that's going to be 10 yards, you know, run after.
Usually if we have one guy that misses
a
tackle, we got 3 more guys coming behind him. They're going to miss too.
Yeah. I don't know. We got defensively, Mike, we're going to win this thing. We're going to win the division. Our offense is going to score points. Our offense is going to get better. Our defense has been on a significant slide. And we're going to, hopefully, we can get some guys healthy. We can get Brown. He has a week to get off that ankle because, you know, he's laterally he's not where he is. You know, he's making some plays. Hopefully, Burfict can get healthy. Yeah, hopefully we can get Price back. You know, so, you know, the thing is now you have a bye. It comes in right time. I love, you know, having the bye in the middle of the season, you know, and unlike those guys that get it really early or, you know, later on. So, you know, hopefully, you know, we can get, you know, these guys. We got 2 weeks, and if we can defend our home turf against Drew Brees, oh man, that's going to speak volumes.
Oh yeah, if you can do that and go beat Baltimore, then all of a sudden you're in consideration again.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Then you're sitting at 7-3 with 2 Cleveland games, an Oakland game, and 11 or 12 wins as possible. I just really don't see it happening.
7-3. You're looking at. But you know, I'm not going to say it's impossible. You know, 7-3.
I didn't say it was impossible. I just said I don't see it happening. I mean, I think they can beat Baltimore. And New Orleans, the thing that intrigues me about that is this. I think the Saints are going to beat the Rams this week. That's going to be a highly emotional game. I think the Saints may be the best team in the NFL right now because defensively they're playing well. They got 2 stud running backs. They got a Hall of Fame quarterback. They got wide receivers out the ass. But that's going to be a really emotional game at 4 o'clock on Sunday between the Rams and the Saints. If the Saints get that win, you know they're going to come in here a little flat. The only thing that worries me, though, is Marvin gets an extra week to prepare, and we all know what his record is in that case.
But yeah, that's unfortunate. So I don't know, Mike. I'm gonna buck what history has said, and you know, I felt, you know, last week I felt that we were gonna come back and we were gonna rebound, and for the most part we did until the second half. You know, offensive. I don't know what Laser was thinking about. You're going to throw the ball. You literally were going in there. You threw the ball 3 straight times. I don't understand that. You know, and then defensively, they were beating us because we were out of place. We were there was blown assignments, blown coverage. They weren't so much – it wasn't as bad as Kansas City, but we were you had two guys sitting in the flats. You got both safeties coming up, and it's cover two. Nobody is deep. When you have those things happen, and you can blatantly and clearly see them, it's something that can get fixed. So that's the best thing. But unfortunately, here that you gave Tampa Bay's coach was stubborn enough to stick with Jameis Winston through the first half, and didn't put Fitzpatrick in there until the second half. And like I said, he had a field day against us. But the biggest thing, Mike, we got out of there with a victory, and 5-3 looks a lot better than 4-4. Right now, considering the next two games that we have.
All right, so hopefully we can win both of those, at least one out of the two. Next week, me and Joe will be back to preview the game with the New Orleans Saints, so make sure you look for that on thegruelingtruth.net. You can follow us at The Grueling Truth on Twitter. And, of course, all of our shows are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Joe Kelly, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.